Hey, it's DJ. Before we get into today's episode, I wanted to let you know about something I just launched. If your caseload isn't full and you're not sure why, I think my new full practice review can help. I personally audit your Psychology Today profile, your website, your Google business listing, your social media, everything you have out there. And I tell you exactly what's working, what's broken, and what to fix first. You get a scored report, a custom niche statement written for you, and a strategy call where we walk through everything together. No guessing, no templates, just me looking at your stuff and giving it to you straight. 2 options starting at $4.97. Check it out at privatepaypractitioners.com/services. All right, let's get into it. Good evening or good afternoon, wherever you are. This is DJ Burr, and I am back with the Private Pay Practitioners Premium podcast. And tonight I have a fabulous guest. Dr. Brian Dixon is here, and I have just been in awe of Dr. Dixon. I have been watching him on social media and on LinkedIn. You're like the only reason I go to LinkedIn. So
Thank you, DJ. That is sweet of you.
So Dr. Dixon is a psychiatrist out of Fort Worth, Texas. Is that correct?
That is
Yes,
correct.
born and raised in Texas. Love that. He runs his own private practice called Mindful. And I believe you do some other things. So I'm super excited to hear about that as well. Because when I did my little research, I was like, hold on, his name popping up in a couple different spots, which I just love, right? And so one of the things, or a couple of things that you talk about on social media and in your writings and such is like healthcare finance, wealth inequality, healing powers of running like your own stuff, right? And not being
Mhm.
controlled by others. And I love that you have shared about growing up in poverty and becoming a physician. I definitely want to hear that story if you're open to telling it. I too grew up in what I call poverty. I grew up in the hood,
Mhm.
in the projects. And so one of the things I knew was I had to get the hell out of there. So I want to
Amen.
hear so I want to hear your story. Dr. Dixon, welcome to the show. Please tell us about you and your
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, DJ. And I'm super stoked that everybody who's listening to this podcast is investing in their business, investing in themselves. So kudos to y'all. Yeah, so a little bit about my business first, and then I'll do my background. So I am a direct pay psychiatrist. So I was in my last employee job was in 2014 when I called to the principal's office and they wrote me up and they basically said, and it wasn't for a patient safety issue. It was because I called out the medical director for being an ass and on email. I didn't call her an ass. I just said, hey, you can't be doing that. And yeah, they called HR. They wrote me up. And I heard a voice while I was sitting in the desk, sitting at the table with the president and the medical director and the HR director. And they said, this is your first and final. And I heard a voice in my head that said, you got to get out of here. And so I put in my 3-month notice because as a physician, most times it's 90 to 180 days. I put in my notice.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then I didn't know anything about business. I just said, okay, I'm going to learn on the fly. Started to practice in 2014. Never took insurance, so I had to just figure that shit out.
Yes.
And now 12 years later, I've grown it to me and 5 other psychiatrists based
I
in
saw
Texas.
that. I was like, he got people in there. Now, are these employees or are they like, well, how's that set up?
Ooh, DJ. So whenever I'm doing any business coaching, which we'll talk about later, I always tell folks, unless you know what you're doing, you need to make sure that your employees are all W-2. So if you're going to do
Yes.
contract, you better talk to a lawyer and get your stuff straight because if you have contractors, but you treat them like employees, meaning you tell them what to do and you do stuff for them and with
Yes.
them, and that can blow up in your face. So yeah, so all of my docs are
Yes.
W-2 employees.
Oh, I love that. I was one of those people. I didn't know because
Mhm.
everybody had contractors and stuff. And I talked to the accountant. She was like, oh, yeah, do you get you some contractors? And then it was like, you do a little deeper dive. And it's like, no, I don't want all that
Mm-mm, it's
because
too
that's a
risky.
nightmare. It can be risky. I've seen people get audited and shut down.
Yep.
So
100%.
we
And
not doing that.
unfortunately, yeah, and unfortunately, that narrative isn't spoken about nearly enough. So as a result, yeah, a lot of people are running around doing stuff that puts their business at risk.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what? I've talked to some people and they're like, look, I talked to my attorney, I did all this, that, and the other thing. I got contractors. And I said, you do you,
There you go.
right?
You do
Because
you.
I'm not writing nobody's check over there where you at.
Amen.
How is it for you? So I like that you said direct pay. Nobody has come on the show and said direct pay. Tell us what you mean by direct pay.
Yeah, so DJ, you know, like I know, and all of our listeners, your listeners know, right? All of our people in the industry know that words matter and how you phrase things matters. And so it always bugged me when people would say, "Oh, well, I don't take insurance," and I was like, I could couch it in the negative, but it sounds like I'm doing something wrong. Oh, well, I'm not credentialed with insurance. Oh, I don't take insurance,
Yeah,
and so I was like, yeah, I'm private pay. And but the hiccup with private pay sometimes is people are like, so what exactly does that mean? And I was like, you know what? I want you to give me your money directly. I want you to give me cold hard cash and I will give you a receipt. And I was like, so I'm just gonna call it direct pay because I you pay me directly. You're not going through anybody or anything else. And
right.
so yeah, so that's why I just use that term all the time because there's no ambiguity to it. You directly pay the person that is providing the service.
I, I love that. Well, then my next question is, do you provide a super bill?
Yes. So it's so funny. When I first started, the technology was terrible. So we had to like generate super bills from a Word document. That's how long I've been in this game. But now all EMRs and I mean, some of the AI things will generate documents if you need them to. So yeah, to me, there's no reason not to generate a super bill because it's really easy. So yeah, everybody gets a super
That's
bill.
that's what I say. I'm like, listen, I don't even touch it. I do
Mhm.
let the clients know that it does require a diagnosis for sure, right?
Correct.
But at the end of the month, simple practice is sending them that thing. And what I came to find out is that most of my clients don't even access it.
Mm,
That's on them.
exactly.
Because I've encouraged them, listen, if you got those benefits and you got out of network, go over there and try to get some of your monies back. But they
Yeah.
don't listen, and it ain't my business.
Hey man, so DJ, you hit on something that when I'm coaching other doctors all the time, I teach them this and I harp on this, which is you train your patients, but it's not your job to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm, right?
Yeah.
So,
Oof.
right. I'll say, hey, here's all the stuff. Here's how to do it. If you choose not to do it, well, peace and blessings to you. I don't know what else to tell you.
I'll see you next week. You know?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, because I'm just, listen, I jumped through too many hoops and climbed too many ladders to get where I'm at to be chasing somebody so they can get their money. Uh,
Preach.
yes, I mean, the system is just so wild, you know, and I know you speak about this, and I love reading your blog, your Substack, and everything. Tell me what's your perspective right now about private pay and like VC companies and all of this stuff that we're kind of like battling. At least some people say it's like a battle, and I'm torn. Is it a battle? Are we fighting them, or are we just in our own camp, running amok?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of both. So here's my supposition. Here's what I guess. Knowing human behavior and knowing how incentives and reinforcement works in the behavioral theory. Back in 1965, when we had Medicare passed, they created a schism in how healthcare was financed. So they basically said, hey, if you're a doctor and you do a procedure like a heart thing or a brain thing, you cut things, that stuff gets more money from the government. That's how it's set up. Anything that's not that, you don't get as much money. So, human
Mm.
beings being human beings, what does that incentivize? Well, that incentivizes people to do things like physically do things. And so, all the specialties that physically do things start to make more money
Yeah.
dermatology, cardiology, blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
And all the specialties that don't do things like psychiatry and family medicine and internal medicine, pediatrics, they get less. Well, over here, where we're already getting less, psychiatry is just one field. Within psychiatry, there's pieces of it that are psychology. So your PhD PsyDs, and then your LPCs, LCSW. So in other words, we already have a disparity in how things are paid because
Yes.
all psychiatry and mental health stuff is getting less. And then because of who y'all are in relation to us, y'all get even less than what we do. So as a result, we don't have any money in our industry. And so we're clawing around like chickens with their heads cut off, going, hey, we need to be paid. Well, that's where the VCs and stuff are coming in to say, you know what, we ain't paid attention to y'all's part of the industry, and I don't know, ever until COVID hit. And then they
Y-
realize, oh, there's money to be made. And
Right.
they recognize that because of the way insurance is set up, there's a way to capture a whole bunch of therapists, because they will provide all the back office stuff at a cost. Of course, they don't charge you for it, even though you
Yeah.
may not realize that. And so that's what's happening. So yeah, I'm pissed that there's the disparity in pay in
Sure.
the way insurance is
Period.
set up. Period. Correct. I'm not as bothered by VC because what VC is going to do is tip the whole damn thing over faster, right? Because what's going to happen at some point, and I say within the next 3 to 5 years, is the whole insurance system will melt down completely because premiums keep going up,
Yes.
and at some point, uh, they're not going to be able to. No therapist is going to work for free because that's what's going to happen. Is if they get on insurance, they're going to be working for pennies on the dollar, and that's
Right.
not sustainable. So yeah, so I don't like VC
Ooh.
companies, but I think their time is coming.
That's so interesting because I said that recently. I said the whole damn thing's gonna collapse. I
Yep.
just feel it, right?
Hmm.
Because even the VC companies are being like swallowed whole by insurance companies, or they're
Correct.
being owned, or they even being started by the insurance companies. And then
Hmm.
I just heard something recently where insurance companies bought hospitals, and those hospitals are closing. I was like, where is I? Because I didn't know they was buying a whole hospital.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
now they're closing those hospitals.
Yep.
I was like, the system is gonna blow up.
100%. And I equate it. So, DJ, I'm old. And I remember the days of calling cards. Do you remember the days of calling card?
Calling card. You mean the phone cards?
Mhm. The NCI
Yes.
Sprint cards. Okay. Uh,
Yes.
and do you remember going to the pharmacy and dropping off your rolls of film and picking up film?
Yes.
Okay. So,
At Eckerd's.
yeah, because I worked at Eckerd. Yep.
I
Yeah.
saw that. And I was
Yeah.
like, I know he's from the South.
Yep. And you notice how there is no calling cards, there's no payphones, there's no film processing today,
Right.
right? That whole industry changed, in my opinion, almost overnight. Like they disappeared within like 2 to 3 years. I mean, it was that
Yeah.
fast in the grand scheme of things. That's what's
Oh,
about to happen with health insurance because they're going to gobble each other up. The whole damn thing is going to collapse, and people are going to wake up and go, wait a minute, why don't I just give DJ my money directly? Why am I giving it to these folks over here? And
right.
yeah.
Right. I'd
Mhm.
rather negotiate directly with a client than an insurance company because one, they're not going to negotiate with you.
Correct.
That's how you and I are sitting here because I went to them and I said, I would like to be paid more for my services. I have X, Y, and Z education. I have X, Y, and Z experience. This is what I'm bringing to the table. And they said, why would we pay you more if everybody in Seattle is accepting the same rate? And I said, I ain't everybody else.
Boop.
And, and I started removing myself almost immediately. And it was painful, but I had to do it because I was drowning. I used to have a practice much like yourself, a group practice, and I started losing my mind because I'm trying to pay all these people while also getting my monies taken back.
Yep.
We already done work for it.
Correct.
So
Unsustainable.
I had to right size, shrink down, go to just me, because I can only manage myself. I can't manage somebody else not being able to feed their family.
Amen. I'm with you. I'm with you.
Right. So
Mhm.
they don't care. They don't care. And they all are about to be out of business.
Hmm. And for
Well, I'm
site,
thriving.
yeah,
It's for sale.
yeah. And in our side of the industry, on the psychiatry side, they actually disincentivize us doing the right thing. So if I take insurance, so I'm a child psychiatrist, so I do a
Yeah.
lot of parent coaching, behavioral coaching. They don't pay for
Mm,
that. They don't pay for it.
that's right.
And so they will pay me if I prescribe a medicine or if I come up with some kind of intervention, TMS, Spravato, ketamine, all the fancy things that you're reading. They'll pay for that. But y'all, I mean, so DJ, one of the things one of my professors taught me was no person is born with a medicine deficiency. So you're not missing ketamine, right? So if you're having a struggle, there is power in talking, but as me as a physician, if an insurance company is not gonna pay me to talk, they're gonna pay me to do medicine. That violates my ethics, and so I'm just not gonna do it. So yeah, I said, screw them. I'm gonna do what I want, and then I'm just
Mm.
gonna trust the market to take care of me. So I priced myself, I thought competitively. I made a website myself on Wix back in the day,
Yeah,
and then.
Wix, yes.
Yep, and people found me. And the craziest thing, my very first patient, we finished the appointment and they were like, well, how do I give you money? And I was like, I guess you could write a check. And they gave me a check for like $250. And I was like, what is this? And then it was off to the races ever since.
Oh my word. It sounds like you might have started, yeah, you said what, 2012 you started your practice?
2014. Mhm.
2014. Oh, okay. So I have been in practice for 16 years, which is still crazy to me that that's even I was like 16. I could have had a whole child about to get out of school
Mhm.
at
Driving a
16,
car.
driving
Mhm.
a
Yeah.
car or something, So it's wild that, we've had similar experiences, even just a few years apart in building our practices. And the same mess is still happening. Still
Mhm.
happening. It's like, where's the change going to come? And then people think that the VC companies is the best thing since sliced bread. And I'm just like, no, that's a trap. It's
Mhm.
a trap.
Yeah, absolute trap. So I think the change will come when, for patients and clients, the change will come when they realize that what they're paying for is pointless, right? They pour money into healthcare premiums every month and they don't get anything for it, and then it resets
Right.
every year, which is so dumb. So that's when they will have their come to Jesus meeting and moment. I think things are going to hit a head for clinicians. So all of them, psychiatrists, therapists, psychologists, all of them when the saturation point hits. And we're rapidly getting there because if you'll notice, there are more and more people, there are more and more programs turning out LPCs, LCSWs,
Yes.
LMFTs. There are more and more people going into psychiatry. There are more PsyDs being minted, more PhD, well, not as many PhDs, but the marketplace is going to get saturated from the old way. And that's
Mm,
when it's going to fall apart because you're going to have too many people trying to get on panels and panels will be closed. And then a lot of those folks are going to get mad and go, we spent this time getting these master's degrees, doing our 3,000 hours of unpaid supervision or clinical supervision hours. We
right.
want more. And that's when everything will go topsy turvy. And your listeners, people in your network, people doing private pay will be faster in the marketplace than all of the folks trying to transition. So that's why I'm a big fan of, hey, let's start learning it now because you got to learn it. There's no shortcut. A lot of people are like, oh,
Yeah.
I want to start private practice and be full in a week. And I'm like, I don't know who you talking to because
Get an appointment with one of us, right? Because that's not happening. I, let me tell you, I have folks, and I think they open up the door, they put up the shingle, and they're like, "Why am I not full?" And I'd be like, "How long you been open?" They said 6 months. Sit down and let's chat because it's you can get to where you want to be.
Mhm.
I'm not saying you can't do that because otherwise I'd be out of business already, right? If I didn't have the
Correct.
hope and had the perseverance to do it. So let me show you what I know. And that's
Mhm.
why, half of my practice now is coaching. And, I was doing it here and there. And then one of my moderators was just like, you're giving away too much free stuff. I was like, he might be right, you
Yep.
know? And so I was like, let me lean all the way in. And that's why I tell my consultees, like, lean in, just do the thing, right? And, and I think I have a lot of hope for the people coming up if they are paying attention. Stop chasing everybody else's wallets. Stay out of your clients' pockets. Stop making decisions for them around how much they can pay. You tell them what your rate is. And if you need to negotiate, figure out ahead of time what you're comfortable with.
Yep, 100%. So, DJ, and this is why I love watching you, the way you navigate these Facebook groups, the way you navigate advice and suggestions. And I'm the exact same way. I heard one of the most important business coaching tools on NPR many years ago, before, right, I think right when I started my private practice. And it was some dude talking about something, but he said, people will value what they pay for, and they will pay for what they value. And when I heard that, it was like, and
Yeah.
so when I started private practice, some of my patients who were in the health system were on Medicaid, and they were like, Dr. Dixon, we love working with you because you actually listen to us. You don't just try to drug my kid up. And I was like, yeah, because your kid needs, you need coaching and support. Your kid needs a little bit of medicine, but they don't need a whole lot.
Yeah.
And they were on Medicaid, okay, Texas Medicaid, and they saved their money to work with me outside of the system. So when people
Mhm.
go, oh, well, I want to work with folks who are marginalized, I want to work with folks who have, that are on governmental assistance and blah, blah, blah. And I'm here to tell you, if people truly value what you have to offer, they will save their money and they will come and see you.
Yeah.
And then on the back end, what I tell folks, because I'm not cheap, I tell them I work my ass off for you, right? I'm going to be available. I'm going to try to
Yeah.
be a good steward of your finances. So if I can push your appointments out, great. If we can do things virtually, meaning you send me a message and I can give you my 2 cents through a message, great, because that keeps you out of the office and keeps more money in your pocket. But at the end of the day, you got to pay something, because if you don't pay for it, you don't value it.
Absolutely. You got to pay something,
Something.
right? Don't be afraid to charge the clients.
Correct. Correct.
Eh,
And they expect it. They do.
Right. Right. So tell me about this experience that you have of coaching doctors. What is that like? Because I'm curious if it's different than my experience of coaching therapists.
Yeah. So in my experience, because I've coached a couple of therapists, it doesn't go as well because I don't know y'all's world as well as I know the doctor world. The difficulty with coaching doctors is we're all trained to be the leaders of the ship, the captains of the ship, the leaders of the team, and trying to
Mm.
convince a leader or a captain that they're doing something wrong is almost always a no-go. And so when I'm coaching them, I have to show them where their hiccups and mistakes and blind spots are without telling them that they're hiccups, mistakes, and blind spots. Right. So I do a lot of, if I'm coaching a physician, I will kind of open my books to them. Let me show you all the dumb shit that I've done. So when it comes to marketing, here are
Mm.
some of the dumb things that I've done, and I'll display them, and they'll go, yeah, I can see how that doesn't work. And then I'm like, basically like, hint, hint, do you see, is there any correlation between what I did and what you're doing now? Oh, I see it, right? And so we basically walk through the different domains of business, because I use the traction model, the Gino
Okay.
Wickman traction model. Um,
Traction model.
and I highly recommend it for
Okay.
everybody. The book is called Traction, and it's by Gino Wickman, Gino Wickman.
Okay.
I give that piece of advice for free to everybody because
I appreciate it.
yeah, because they still need to be coached. So he will provide the framework, but only an entrepreneur that has been through what they've been through, like yourself, will understand how to plug in the blind spots into the framework. And so
Yeah.
yeah, so I show them Gino Wickman basically says there's 5 areas of every business: your sales and marketing, because people screw that up all the time, your operations, your
Hmm.
financials, your overarching like corporate leadership, and then your
Hmm.
visionary stuff. And you have to have all 5 of those areas really, really strong in order to stay in business and grow.
I love it.
Mhm.
Yes. I'm going to grab the book now. Yeah, I love that everyone has like a framework, right? Even I
Mhm.
have, things that I am developing and working on, and how I lead my consultees. And I just love it that we get to be so creative if we give ourselves permission to be. We just have
Yeah.
to do it, right?
Yeah.
And trust. One of the things that I really like about myself is that I like have this like self trust. It wasn't always there, right? It's developed. I had to grow that from like a seed.
Mhm.
But it has not steered me in the wrong direction. Now, that doesn't mean that I have not made mistakes. It means I have learned because, like you, I have made, when you talk about like the missteps, I've made them and I'm not afraid to talk about them.
Mhm. Yeah.
I talk about them on the show. I write about them, whatever, right? Because I want to help
Mhm.
people.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's really funny, and I love how you're getting at like the authenticity and learning yourself. So I've always felt like I've been a really progressive person, right? Really thoughtful, think ahead, blah blah blah. So when I first started my practice back in 2014, I was like, I want to be known as progressive psychiatry, and so I went and bought the domain progressive psychiatry, but the .com was already taken, so I bought the .org. So my website was progressivepsychiatry.org. DJ, when I tell you that was one of the worst moves because number one, nobody knows how to spell psychiatry. Number two, nobody goes to .orgs. And yeah, and so as a result, it was a beat down when it came to telling people on the phone, go to progressivepsychiatry.org. And so I had to have a internal meeting with myself. And when COVID hit and everything changed, I decided to rebrand. And that's where I did Find Mindful. So I did a DBA, fill out the form with the state, did a DBA, grabbed the name Mindful because most people can spell mindful, Mindful, added a verb in front of it, find. And then now my website is findmindful.com because that was available. So, yeah, like sharing those little bitty nuances of mistakes that I've made because, if I had had 12 years of being known as Find Mindful, I probably would be an even bigger company because it's easy to spell and the branding is awesome. But it took me 6 years, 7 years to 6 years to learn that. So yeah, and not having any ego about it. Like, man, I kind of screwed that up in the past, but I'm not going to let that be a chain around my neck and drag me down to the future.
Right, right. I hear that. I mean, we can get attached to things, right?
Mhm.
We're human beings. We can get attached. I've gotten attached to many things around my business. I'm like, no, I'm not giving that up. But I got to know this. Do you still have that web address domain, or did you give it
The
up?
the
Yeah.
progressivepsychiatry.org. Oh no, I kept it. Come on now.
Uh,
Yeah. It's one of those things for the longest time. I had it redirected. And then once I
yes,
officially wasn't using it anymore, I said, I just want to hang on to it because I still have some intellectual property stuff attached to it. So,
absolutely.
yeah,
You pay
yeah.
your domain host every year for it.
Yep, correct. Yeah, I'm essentially squatting on it, but whatever. I don't care.
Well,
Yeah.
whatever. And listen, over the last month, I've been telling these therapists, they're like, they got these long ass like business names. What is your name?
Literally.
Literally. And they were like, oh, just
Mhm.
grab it. I've sat in a session with somebody and girl, let me pull this up. And if you don't buy it, I'm gonna buy
Correct. Yep.
it.
Mhm. When I'm coaching medical students, I do the exact same thing. I say, medical students and residents, go ahead and grab your name because,
Yes.
especially if you're like the only version of that, grab the name. And then, because we can always do other things later on to, if you want to expand to a group and you don't want your name attached to it, there are
Right.
ways that yeah, we can do things to help make that a possibility, but at least grab your own piece of the universe while you can, because you're only going to be here for what, 70 summers, 75 summers is how somebody put it. All right. So
That's interesting.
yeah. So
Yeah.
let's make an impact while we can, do what we can to move
Right.
things forward. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And on social media handles too.
Correct.
Somebody said, grab them. Even if you don't use them, grab
Mhm.
them. And so
Yep.
that's what I'm telling people. And they're just really like, oh my God, I hadn't thought of that. Right.
Mhm.
These are business decisions that you're making. right? And I
100%.
and that's the thing that I want people to know is like you have to be in your business. There are people that treat it like a hobby. Maybe they have a spouse that works at Microsoft. I don't know. But if you are in it, you are got to be committed to it. You this is not play. This is not play,
Hmm. Yeah,
you know?
yeah, I see this all the time too. And I know you do too, because a lot of your folks are kind of employed and they're like, hey, I want to start a private practice on the side. I'm like,
Hmm.
that which you give your attention to will grow. And so if you split your time between working a full W-2 job and you think that your company is going to grow, you are sadly mistaken. It's you have to pour as much into your the thing you own as the thing that you're working for. And so a lot of
Yep.
doctors make that mistake as well. They'll try to do private practice on the side. I'm like, look, I'm not the perfect example, but the way that I think of it to myself is, this is my business, this is my livelihood, this is what I use to pay my bills and to do everything. I don't believe for myself, that's not everybody, so take it with a grain of salt. I don't believe in weekends. So I believe in days that I work, and then there are days that I don't
Mm.
work. Okay. And so,
Yes.
yeah, so there's most Thursdays and Fridays, I try not to do any clinical work. I may do other stuff like networking and
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, so those are my non-clinical days. Saturdays are just another day. Sundays are just another day. I've seen patients on
Right.
Sundays, I've seen patients on Saturdays. And so when I got out of that mindset and that framework,
Yes.
it made me not resent things, because otherwise I'm working on the weekends and I resent it. And I'm
I
like, wait a minute.
know. And then you be
Yeah.
mad and you mad at yourself. Listen, I run 3 groups on Sundays. 3 groups on Sundays.
Mhm.
And it totals like 4.5 hours. That's it.
Yep.
I haven't seen not one client or a consultee in the last 2 days because I
Yep.
choose to, right?
Yep. Hmm.
So, I mean, you get to choose when you work or when you do the clinical work or you got somebody sitting in front of you versus I'm going to make a couple of phone calls and then I'm going to go take a nap.
Yep. Hmm. And I get to nap all the time. It's awesome.
Oh, I
That
love it.
it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, talk to us a little bit about, you've been in practice for a while. Do you still spend a good bit of time networking and
Yes.
like meeting with folks? Tell us about it.
Yeah. So I've spent probably all total, probably over 10 or 15 grand in kind of early marketing stuff, like understanding marketing, because I went out and hired a whole bunch of consultants before I knew what the hell I was doing. And then they
Yeah.
charged me a shit ton of money. And then it didn't work because I didn't ask the right questions to begin with.
Mm.
And so after many moons, sat myself down and I went, I really need to know the essence of what marketing is, right? And I read all these books, and it's essentially sharing your story, your company story. Well, one of the marketing things that I ran across at a conference is they said for most folks, for especially nowadays, because social media is so saturating to our attention, it takes 8 to 15 touches to get somebody to act on something. 8 to 15 touches. So, like when you're on Facebook and you see the same ad again and again and again, and eventually you click on, that air
Yes.
fryer or whatever the hell you don't
And then
need.
you always see it for a month later.
Correct. Correct. Well, because they know that psychobiology as well, which is it takes 8 to 15 views of something to get somebody to act. Well, when you think about your business, we don't have the budget to be able to pull that off. Like I can't buy enough Google ads to be in front of your face 8 to 15 times ever. So
No.
what I do instead is I know that human connection is powerful. I know that people like to talk and to share their story. So I go out and I meet other therapists, hear their story, share my story, and then do that touch. And so I think networking is the most powerful way, be that through texting, email, in person. So yeah, I carve out time every single
Yes.
week to be networking and stay seen. They call it top of mind awareness, right? So
Absolutely.
so I want to be top of mind for everything. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Right. I may not see you on Facebook for a minute, but I done saw you on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
you know, and I'm reading Substack.
Hmm.
So I was connected. I know a little bit about what's going on, but I don't have to see you everywhere.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah. I'm like the king of networking. Like people knew me in Seattle because I was putting together the little networking event. And then they were like, Who is this person that's coming into this environment trying to shake stuff up?" Because Seattle, we call it the Seattle freeze. Um, they know you, they see you, they don't want to know nothing about you.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I was like, I'm from the South. Listen, Dr. Dixon, I tell you, I was in Georgia before I graduated school. I was snail mail letters. I'm on my way to Seattle and I see that you serve this population. I want to work with this population. Can I have coffee with you? And I don't even drink coffee.
Yeah.
And I just showed up and called people and
Mhm.
emailed people. I had no earthly idea what I was doing, but I just brought my little Southern self that liked to network to Seattle and scared the people
Yeah.
and just created the environments for the people who weren't that scared to show up.
Hmm.
And my Seattle therapist group has like 4 or 5 thousand people in it, that started with just me and two other people. And the private pay community, it started with just me because I was like, I got to go do something that I don't know how to do. Where are the people that's doing it? And I couldn't find them. So my thing is, if I can't find what I'm looking for, I just start it and see what happens.
Hmm.
16,600 plus people are there. So
Bless you.
I stay engaged. Somebody
Hmm.
asked me the other day, like, how much do you spend networking and connecting with people? And the number was huge. It was huge because it's not just the phone calls, emails, texts. I'm on the podcast, right? I'm in my premium community. Like I'm always active, even when I'm sitting on my couch, you
Correct.
know? And I take so many breaks and days off,
Hmm.
but it's my business.
Correct. Yep.
It is
And
my
that,
business.
yeah, and that which you water will continue to grow. So yeah, the grass is not greener on the other side; it's greener where you water it, and you water it a
Yes,
little bit every single day. Amen. Yep.
absolutely. And that's why I stay in green.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yep. And because
Yes.
I see this note in the chat from Francesca that says I'm scared as hell, and that's the funny part. So I'm an introvert. You
Mm,
would know that from all the shit that I be running around doing. But I love my time. I love to be home. I would like to watch my Star Trek and be geeky, nerdy, and not do anything. I love that. But I also
yes.
like to eat and pay my bills, and so I know that I have to go out and in a society that's based like ours, because our society is very extroverted friendly, um,
Yeah.
very charismatic friendly.
Mm,
Now that I know that, I'm going to use that as part of my tool, my business tool, to bring in more attention and more leads to my practice. And then when I want to be done, I turn that off and I'm done, right? I can check my email the next day, or I don't have to respond to every text. So
right.
Francesca, I'd say yes. I don't know if you're an introvert or an extrovert. Yes, you're gonna get rejected. There's gonna be lots of people that tell you no, but do it anyway, because at the end of the day, somebody needs you. Somebody needs you.
She done turned the camera on. Well, let's hear from Francesca. Francesca, welcome to the show. Please tell
Hi.
us what's coming up for you as you hear us kind of talk about this experience of being in private practice and private pay.
So I'm definitely an introvert. Definitely 100%. I don't like to talk. I just like to sit in the corner in the dark, in the shadows, and observe the room. But I've learned that since opening up my practice, I have to do those things.
Yeah.
And I've also learned that I'm not very good at talking to people. I'm not
Mm.
very good at small talk. So, I feel like when I'm going out to promote myself, it feels a little, I don't know what the word is. It just feels like, hey, look at me. This is what I do. And I don't like to feel like that.
Oh,
Um, I don't like to feel like that, but I know I don't want to work for anybody else. I
right.
I can't do it. Like I my story's crazy, but I've been out of work since last completely since last June.
Mm-hmm.
And I just cannot go back to working under someone who can just say, "Oh, you're done." I
Right.
can't do it anymore. So I know I'm like looking over the cliff, like just do it, just jump. I've jumped, but I'm falling.
Mhm.
I'm like, when are my wings gonna grow? Because right now I just feel like I'm just in the air.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really, really, really difficult for me. Yeah.
I appreciate the vulnerability and sharing that. And the thing that I'll say is there's so many people that have similar experience where they're just like, I don't want to promote myself. I don't want to talk about myself. And what I say is bring one small piece that you feel comfortable with of sharing, and that will open up a conversation. And then it's not just about you, it's also about the other person. And then you're forming a connection. And that connection can last a lifetime. I'm getting referrals from people I don't even know because they heard from somebody else that I ain't seen in a while, right? So we never know, like those little seeds that we plant, how it's going to come back to us. It could come back 2 years from now. It could come back next week. We don't know. But if you take just a little piece with you when you have these calls and these interactions, I think that that might be helpful.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then Francesca can offer another idea that I do personally.
Mhm.
So, one of my old business coaches talked about don't worry about your piece of the pie, grow the pie, right? Because a lot of times we kind of worry about stepping on other people's toes or, taking their whatever. Well, he said, don't worry about your little piece and instead grow the whole pie. So, what I do is, especially if I'm feeling really nervous, I go in and I network on behalf of the entire industry. So, it's not about me at all. It's not about me trying to get a patient. It's me going, and
Mm.
one of my favorite phrases is I'll go into a room with whoever, and I will literally be like, everybody needs a therapist. Everybody needs a therapist. And DJ, literally, most people will laugh, and I go, yeah, because you can't see your blind spots. So if you don't have a therapist, you need to get a therapist. And just by doing that, people will start to talk because people like to talk. Oh, well, oh, that's all right, or whatever. And then as you are there, you may not get a referral. They may go to their group, but then they're going to say, I heard this from Francesca, so and so, right? Francesca, great. And then they'll move to the next person. And then, like DJ said, it'll come back to you. So, yeah, so
Yep.
that's what I do. So that way, it feels weird to be salesy. I see that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so don't try to sell yourself if you don't want to. Sell the whole entire industry. Hey,
Yeah.
everybody needs a therapist. Lots of people don't know their blind spots. Find out what you like and what you don't like, and
Yeah.
that has gotten me through lots of uncomfortable extroverted, introverted moments.
hmm Yeah. Even as an extrovert myself, and I didn't always know I was an extrovert. I was like, I didn't like myself originally. So I was like, I'm not an extrovert. I don't even like myself. Right. But once I got into my recovery and got my mental health together, and a therapist said, you are an extrovert. And I was like, what you talking about? And the whole game changed. Whole
Mhm.
game changed. The whole business landscape changed everything. And that was just because, like, we don't know those blind spots sometimes, right?
Mhm.
And I love that. And I'll share just a little bit about a spot for me. I was recently offered, someone reached out and said, hey, can you come speak? And I was like, well, how much the money is, right? And she said the money. And I was like, I can't do this. And I went to Facebook and they were like, you doing it. And I was like, oh my God. And I had to sleep on it. And I went back and I said, yes, I'm interested, but I need more money. I ain't heard nothing. It's been about 30 something hours. And I'm just like, see, I shouldn't have done it. But then I was like, no, you did what you needed to do, right? You took a healthy risk. And I do that all the time. I take a healthy risk. And then this is the thing I want to leave you with, Francesca. Let go of the outcome.
Mm.
When you sit with people and you tell them who you are and you share a piece about your story or your business or the industry, let go of the outcome. You have no idea what they're thinking, what they're feeling, and what they're going to do with that information, and it's none of your business. And a therapist told me that, and that also was a game changer for me. It's like you can't control what other people might think, feel, or say or do. So just show up as you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
And where are you so we can send you people?
Yes.
I'm in Maryland.
Maryland. Okay. All right.
I'm a
Um,
psychiatric nurse practitioner.
oh, I love that. Oh my goodness. Can you drop your do you have a website?
I do, but okay.
Well, go
Okay.
ahead. Listen, go ahead and send it to me. Send it to djprivatepay@gmail.com and we're gonna send that out.
Okay.
Because I already know people in Maryland,
Oh,
right? Yep. This is why we here, right?
Literally.
yeah.
Because this is the thing. I'm not trying to take nobody else's client. I don't need your client. There's enough
Nope.
clients for us all. Can we all just get along?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh my God, this conversation has been so amazing. Dr. Dixon, you are fabulous. I love everything that you be sharing on social media. Tell our audience where we can find you so everyone else can
Yeah.
get a dose.
Yeah, so for anybody that's looking for non-clinical stuff, so you don't need any psychiatry help or any medicines or anything like that. So I'm on LinkedIn. If you just search Brian J. Dixon MD or just Brian Dixon MD. So that's on LinkedIn. And then I started a Substack under Psychiatrist General. So the idea is I'm building a brand that says we have a Surgeon General, which is always focused on medicine and other things, but we don't have a Psychiatrist General, somebody that's talking about mental health and how it integrates into our lives. So I grabbed that moniker, that title. So that's me on Substack. And then when it comes to clinical stuff, the best way to find me is I'm based in Texas. I'm licensed in Texas, so I'm confined to Texas. But if you go to findmindful.com, you can see my practice and how to get in to be seen as a patient. And then my other endeavor, the business coaching endeavor, is through simplypsych.com, which our expertise is in high level business coaching. So, like that granular stuff of like which EMR to pick, I don't know. And I'm not going to
We
tell you
got
which
time for
one.
that.
Yeah, ain't nobody got time for that. There are better business coaches out there for that part, not me. I'm the high level stuff. What do you want? Where are you going? That sort of thing. So, I do my business coaching through simplypsych.com.
Oh, love it. Fantastic. I love how you just got your hands on a lot of different things. And the
Mhm.
branding is branding. Yes, that is what we got.
Hey.
Listen, I'm working on that. And I'm like, "Look, we got to do it, right? Because if I'm
Mhm.
telling somebody else to do it, I got to do it, right? We got
Mhm.
to protect our assets. We
100%.
do. We got to do it. Oh my goodness. So, Dr. Dixon, please come back anytime you got anything you want to promote, you want to talk about, you want to get into. I am here for it. Okay.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you for having me on and
Yeah.
giving us space to do this.
I love it. So, everyone, thank you for being here this evening. I have been DJ Burr, and this has been the Private Pay Practitioners Premium Podcast. I will see you next week.
Hi.
All right, folks, that's all for this week's episode of the Private Pay Practitioners Premium Podcast. Thank you for hanging out with me, and a huge thank you to my guests for showing up and keeping it real. If you're a private pay practitioner with something to say, I want to hear from you. Go to privatepaypractitioners.com/podcast guest and fill out the application. Whether you're just starting out or you've been building for years, if you're doing the work, there's a seat at this table for you. And if you're not yet a Patreon member, let me tell you what you're missing. Early access to every episode, monthly resource drops, tools, templates, and content you can actually use in your practice today. Vault drops, community support, and direct access to everything I'm building for private pay practitioners. It's all at patreon.com/privatepay. Tiers start at $10 a month. Come join us. For everything else, courses, consulting, the playbook, the workbook, and more, go to privatepaypractitioners.com. Everything is there waiting for you. Till next time, I'm DJ Burr, and I will see you next week.